Knowledge resides in the mind, while knowing is of your being. You are here not to learn all about life, but to live it. The only thing that could get in the way of this process is when you think you know it all or become concerned about what others may think or do. That's a situation like that would be something like, we were talking about it before we started the session tonight, Ray, about some of the musicians like Wes Montgomery.
Wes Montgomery, one of the greatest guitar players ever in history, and never had a lesson in his life, was self-taught. He felt it.
He played what he felt.
Played what he felt.
Yeah. And but his there's always something that we need to work out, right? His shortcoming was that insecure feeling, like he had to really prove it to himself, right, Ray?
He never thought he was that good. Compared to all the great jazz guitar players on the scene.
Did he live his whole life feeling like that?
I think so.
Wow. Yeah. So you see the difference? If you go out and you get educated about something, and you've got this degree that it validates you, you're good enough, that type of feeling, as opposed to somebody like Wes Montgomery or someone like me, where we learn it on the fly. We learn what we need. We feel guided. We feel the impulse, the urge to go that way. That's guidance. That's we're connected with. That's moving us that way. We always have the choice to go that way or not, though. All right. But we move that way, like I did, like Wes Montgomery did, like Ray Charles did. He was also not. He was blind.
Yeah, he couldn't read the music when he went to his piano teacher.
It was all feeling, And there's so many people in the world that you can see where this played out, and you just follow your bliss. I mean, really, you just can't help it. You move that way and you go that way. You don't have that diploma to say, look, I'm qualified. I'm worthy.
People are oversold on knowledge/education where you get a diploma for something. I mean, from being a recruiter all those years, I can tell you that I would say 80% of the people who have a diploma in something within 4 years or 5 years or less after they get out of school, they're not even applying anything they learned. They're not even working in their major.
And even if they were, what they learned, what they got a diploma for, they're good enough for, 4 or 5 years ago, it's outdated. Things are moving fast.
Faster now.
Way fast.
Due to technology.
Yeah. So the one thing that doesn't beat you at your own game is knowing what you know. If you know what you know, if you have trouble trusting what you know, I'm going to show you how to fix that. My Guided Journey is the journal, the companion journal to my flagship book, Guided. This, you start writing in part 3. You start writing down what it is that you know, and start documenting what it is. Take it out of here and put it in here. So you can go back and look at it and say, I know that. Why am I not doing it? Why am I not following that? Why, when guidance comes through, I get that feeling to go that way, that I doubt myself. The session today, the part that you have to watch out for. The only thing that could get in the way of this process is when you think you know it all, okay? That would be somebody who's got, knowledge, but they don't know. They know some things, but they really lean hard into the diploma, the college, the validation, all right? When you think you know it all, the person with all those PhDs, that, they think they have it all wrapped up, or become concerned about what others may think or do. That's being concerned about letting other people's opinion of you stop you out, make you doubt yourself, okay? That's why you have to write down, you have to go into this journal, part 3, and write down what you know, so you don't forget that you know it. And you know why you need to do that? Because you You're going to forget that you know what you know. When you're bombarded with all of this stuff in the world where you've got to get an education, you've got to have diplomas, you've got to get master degrees, you've got to do all this stuff that validates you. You're going to start to, it's so prominent, so dominant in the world. It's going to make you doubt yourself if you don't write it down. All right?
Yeah, you can not trust the knowledge you've learned, just like you cannot trust
The
things
knowing.
you know.
Right.
Because you get out of school and you have this degree, all you have is 4 years of study, but you never applied it anywhere. You don't know if it works.
And somebody who would hire you would be somebody that would say, well, I'll hire you because I could see that you could stick to something. Not that your diploma meant anything, even
Right.
in that position. How many times have you seen that?
Oh, yeah, yeah. That diploma became something that you saw all the way to the end. And that's the only, value
You've got
it
staying
had.
power.
It's the only value it had when you got out.
And so to the employer, it looked like you might be a keeper, somebody that's not going to bounce in and out.
Versus somebody who doesn't have a college degree.
Right,
Like me.
like me. Anyway, I didn't have time for it, actually. I was going to I was considering a college when I was out of school. I was, but then I got busy in the building industry and it just took off. I didn't have time for it.
For people who, are watching.
Bill Gates didn't have time for it.
A lot of people didn't have.
Steve Jobs didn't have
There's a lot
time.
of CEOs of the Fortune companies who don't have a college degree.
They dropped out because life took off and they didn't have time for it.
For people who are seeing you for the first time tonight,
Yeah.
on one of these insights, give them a little explanation from your life between something you knew versus something other people had to learn.
Everything, Ray.
Well, everything.
I mean,
Just start. I think a good example would be architectural design of houses.
Yeah.
How did you learn to be an architect?
Long story short, it's in Guided. It's in my flagship book, Guided, and many instances of this throughout my life. And here it is, you guys. I've been connected, always been connected to my guides. And when I got that impulse, that urge, that feeling, that knowingness, okay, and I saw the direction, they were pointing me that way. It was my choice to walk that way or not. All right. And I was all in. I had this relationship with my guides throughout my life, so I never hesitated. I really learned it from the beginning of my life when my life was in jeopardy, and they came to my rescue. And I had that. It's like they came in and they wiped my amnesia just long enough so I could remember who I was, where I came from, who they were, and why I was here. All right. So I was so excited about life. Going to school and college and all that did nothing but make me feel like I put on the brakes, my life came to it slowed down so much. All right. So I was just busy. Didn't have time for it. But when I was a kid, when I was about, I'd say 2 years old, I drew these big murals on the walls. And, with my crayons, of course, my mom freaked out. And she kept scrubbing them off the walls, and I'd move a chair over, stand on the chair so I could finish doing them, right? Where does that come from?
Yeah, in kindergarten, the building blocks.
In kindergarten, there were the building blocks. They were like, they seemed big.
Those are for boys.
Yeah, and I had to have them every day. So I showed up to school with candy, money, whatever it took to bribe my way into those building blocks every day so the kids would give them up and let me have them all the time,
So you're 2 or 3 years old, you're drawing murals all over the walls inside the house. 5 years old in kindergarten, you're building things with the building blocks.
Right.
And at 19 years old, you're an architect and a home builder.
I know. So it's bleeding, it's lifetime's bleeding through. By the way, next week, we're going to get into that thing about the before life more, and we're going to talk about how that really works. So it's just think of it this way. How do you trust what you know? You came in with it. What you know is something, it's your gifts and your talents. It's what you know. It's where you left off in a previous life, and it's a big continuum. You come from the other side, the before life. You come into this life. This is like the middle of the sandwich. And then when you're released, you go back to where you came from. It's like a big recycling system, all right? And hopefully you got through a bunch of stuff you came here to learn, and you know what you know. You're more confident. You're more sure of yourself. You're more engaged. You are more connected.
It's part of your soul's urge to do that.
Yes, it is.
I mean, people see a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old brilliant concert pianist, and they wonder, how can he do that?
Yeah.
Well, he's done it before.
Many times, though. That's an obvious sign that you have you
brought it with you.
Yeah. And what are they called? They're called
prodigies.
Prodigies, that they come in like that. And many times it doesn't look so obvious like that. It doesn't mean that you didn't bring your gifts and talents with you, or that you had them when you came in. All right. All of us have them when we come in. It's just that the people here, they tend to not notice that, and they want it. They have, the whole family lineage has a background in something, and you have to follow that family, pattern, and they want you to walk the same path as the other family members have. The grandfather, the
grandfather and the father and all the siblings were lawyers, so Linda, you're going to be a lawyer too.
Or you're in a life like now where they're pushing formal education so hard, and it may not be right for you. It may not be the thing for your kid, for your grandkid. It may not be how they're going to excel. All right. What do we have right over there?
Let's see. Missy's with us. Rebecca's with us.
Great, you guys.
Mimi. Hi, everybody. No questions yet.
Okay, we need those questions coming in.
Oh, here we have some comments today.
We did. Two of the readers of Linda's Weekly Guided Insights left comments. So you want to go with the first one?
Yeah, Viola over in the Netherlands. Viola's probably sleeping right now.
She probably is.
Like 3 in the morning. I think.
Hi, Viola.
Yeah, don't wake up, Viola. Hi, Linda and Ray. It's a relief to read that we are meant to experience our life. I can say I am an expert on relationships because I experienced so many of them. I kept on searching for a loving relationship, and I read a lot about it for many years, and I was always concerned what others would think or say of me.
See?
When I showed up with another new partner.
See, their judgment on her.
It blocked me completely.
Yeah, I could see that.
Since I have started listening to my guidance, I have stopped looking for a loving relationship. The magic in that, with no longer searching for the right guy and no longer caring what my children, my ex, my parents would think or say,
there you go.
I now have met my wonderful loving partner via a very different and unusual way.
Okay, so what she did is she got out of the way. She stopped throwing the energy that brought judgment to her, because she refused to put it up with that anymore, tolerate that anymore. All right. So she was no longer focused on people and what they thought about her. She was no longer taking it personally.
Yeah, she took all their criticism personally.
Okay, so here's what happened. As soon as Viola learned what the lesson really was, what's under the hood, what is it that she really had to learn? It was learning to stop worrying about what other people thought of her. All right. Once she stopped doing that, the energy in her field changed. And in came that
right person
that she didn't go out looking for.
Nope.
It found her.
Just showed up.
Now, this is how guidance works. This is how your guides and the energy of the universe actually works. It could then come through. She wasn't blocking it with resistance because she was so consumed with what everyone would think about her. You guys, I want you to know, you didn't come here to live everybody else's life. You came here to live your life. Don't cheat yourself out of it because you're worried about what others are going to think or do. That it all is packaged up in, stop taking it personally, all right? And when you can stop doing that, okay, I've got to bring this back out. My Guided Journey, Part 3, right in there. When you catch yourself doing, you took it personally, something personally that day, you get your pen out and you write down, you tell on yourself. You write down what that was that you let happen. And then when you can see it on the page, what happened is you pulled it out of here and you put it here so it no longer controls you. Now you've harnessed it. You see it. It can't beat you now. It can't keep doing this to you and cheating you out of your life. That's why you need this journal. You need it to write these things down so you can catch yourself. Okay?
Okay, a good example of you not taking things personally, but is also keeping your guidance to yourself. You don't go broadcasting all the guidance or all the things you know.
That's right.
To other people because they want to go. For instance, if you would have went to people and they said, "Linda, what do you want to be when you grow up?" I want to be an architect and a home builder and own the largest construction company in California.
I never told my secrets.
No, okay.
Never.
What would they have said if you would have said,
they would have said, you can't do that. There's no way you can do. You don't have an education for it. You don't know what you're doing. You have no contacts. You're too young. You're a woman. Oh, it would have gone on and on. I mean, I started this in the early 70s. Women in the construction industry, that was a taboo, okay? And a young girl, I was young and, they used to think I was in a man's world. I depended on them to help me. And they were awesome. I got to tell you, these guys were, I didn't have to do any weird things with them to get them to help me. They were all too happy. They were like the age of my dad. So
yeah, you were younger than their children.
I know. So they thought, well, isn't that cute?
She's building all these houses.
And she's tried, that girl, she worked so hard and she has the best intention. They all got behind me. I mean, it was amazing. So, I mean, I just had the whole thing open. It was like the parting of the seas. It was, against all odds, you guys, and I never thought I couldn't do it. It never dawned on me that I couldn't do it before I was totally in it, all right? When you run on this knowingness, when you feel that urge, when you know it's yours, it's something that if you don't follow it, at least write it down so you can begin to see that you've got these gifts, you've got this guidance, that you weren't left out of this life, okay?
I mean, I think part of the problem comes in when adults ask children, what do you want to be when you grow up? They shouldn't be asking them what they want to be because the answer will be skewed towards, well, what do I want to go study so I can make a lot of money, so I can buy a house and get married and have a nice car, all this stuff.
The question is a setup.
Right. They should ask the child, who are you?
Or why would you want to do it?
What problems do you want to solve when you grow up?
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah, but they don't know, Ray. And really, all you can do is just watch the child and see what the child does. And that's the answer right there. They're just doing it. They are connected to their guidance. It's only after they've been here a while that this life begins to dominate that connection, and they feel like they're not supposed to have it. They've got to give it up. They can't have it all, something like that. Because no one else seems to be doing this, where they're living in both worlds, where they're connected, and the child, it wears them down, it wore you guys down. So you're getting it back. It's there. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's waiting for you to be ready, right, to reclaim it. Ray, what do we have? We've got some questions from these guys. You guys.
Oh, Rebecca says, I remember standing on the stove on a chair at the age of 3 cooking for my sisters while my abusive stepmom was sleeping.
Oh, man.
Trying not to wake her up because if we did, we would mostly get a beating.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just did it. I mean, you could do it.
Yeah, and I want to say the cooking. It may not be the cooking, Rebecca.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it may not be the cooking, Rebecca. It may be the creating, where you create something that's your own. Okay, you create something that it may not even have tasted that good, but you were excited about trying it. All right, so it's for you. It's about coming up with your own method, your own recipe, okay? Your own way of doing something, even though it's been done a million times by all these people, but your way, okay? And you liked doing that, even at the risk of your mom, reacting to what you were doing. Yeah.
It's like you say, you bring all your talents and gifts with you when you come here as a new person, as a baby, okay?
Yeah.
But your job is to self-realize throughout your learning stage how to apply all those talents you brought with you. I mean, learn how to use them.
Well, it is to be self-realized, but I have to say that from living this, and I've lived it on so many different instances. I talk about it in Guided throughout my life, and I'd have one thing I'm doing, and it went really, really well. I followed the guidance. My timing was right because I didn't hesitate. I acted on the guidance while the shelf life was still good, while it was the right time to hit it. And then, none of these things lasted very long. My career in building, when I went through that early part where it just literally was handed to me on a silver platter. I did have to do the work. I did have to jump on it when it showed up. I did have to trust myself, and I did have to keep my guidance to myself.
You didn't have to do thousands of drawings till you figured out what worked.
No, I moved right into it, and I did make some mistakes along the way. I talk about it in Guided, but they were small compared to the opportunities I was able to experience. So you don't think about, even if you get the best education and you're so prepared and you've got all these family members behind you and all this support, you're still going to make mistakes. Okay, I don't think I made any more mistakes than someone who was absolutely highly qualified in terms of being educated and supported to do it. So don't be afraid to take the chance. The only thing that you might be afraid of is doing the work. I will say that it took a lot of work, okay? Every one of these business opportunities I found myself in, and I had no idea it was going to happen or show up or what it was ever going to be, okay?
And they were all technical.
They were, yeah, the building industry was technical, yeah.
The ISP was very technical.
Yep. And writing my books is technical.
You didn't go out and read a whole bunch of books on how to write a book.
No, in fact, I was guided not to do that, okay? And this is probably the most, what would I say? It will test your insecurities more than anything else, is writing a book and publishing it to the world.
Right.
Okay, I really, and especially a story that's your own true story, that's edgy, Guided's edgy.
It's painful.
It's painful, it's wonderful, it's awesome, it's scary, it's everything life is, right? So that's trusting what you know, it comes from being who you are, and it comes from moving on the guidance when it comes through. It comes from trusting yourself first, okay? And you've got to use your journal. You've got to write what's going on in your life, in your journal. This is just like writing my book. This is you writing your story so that you can begin to purge what's in there, what's wanting to come out, what you came here to experience. Not keep it repressed and pretend it's not there, and you don't have to say anything to anybody because you can't stand what they might say, or just don't tell them.
Right.
Okay? All of a sudden, one day they're going to go, well,
how'd you do that?
Yeah. When did you start doing that?
Or when you were in the construction business and your guides told you, get out of it. Right now. Stop.
Yeah, right. Just when everybody was,
white hot. The market was white hot.
I know.
And then you went to these meetings with the home builders and all these guys who supported you and helped you get started and things like that. They all said, Linda, we heard you're getting out of the business. What's going on?
And I told them straight out, I took a chance. It was 1977. I said, there's going to be a real estate crash. And they laughed at me. Okay. They said, there's not going to be a real, in fact, they said, since you're selling all your property and inventory and getting out, they said that if there's a crash, it's because of you.
Yeah.
It's because you're causing it by getting out. Little old me, with a subdivision or two, and I was doing pretty good, but I certainly wasn't a market mover, just because I was getting out. Honestly, people make things into something they're not, you guys. So don't live your life for them. Get out there and do what you came here to do. Live that life you came here to live.
But the end of the story was there was a horrible crash.
Oh, yeah.
You were out and in cash position. They all lost their businesses and their homes and mansions and Ferraris and fake marriages and everything else. And then they started coming to you and said, how did you know that? Then
that's when they started saying, you've got this really great intuition. I wasn't showing off or anything. They asked me and I answered them, just took a chance, And they didn't want to know how I did this. They wanted to know what was going to happen next. And I was like, these guys don't get it. They're not getting the whole, everyone gets guidance, you guys. There's not a person on the planet that doesn't have spirit guides. Looking over them, spirit guides, angels, specialists, all kinds of guidance from the other side looking out for you, especially when they know that you get that you realize you're connected, all right? And that you are living in two worlds. You never threw the baby out with the bathwater, all right? You are living in two worlds if you are connected.
And who you are is who you come in as.
Right.
And who you are qualified to become while you're here if you choose to do that.
If you choose to trust yourself, trust what you know, you choose to not let what other people think about you stop you out, make you doubt yourself, okay? These are very simple things so that you are released to move that way. If you feel like you're being blocked out because of what people think or what they might say or do, then you've already put up the barrier that keeps your guidance from reaching you. You're closed off. You may not realize that's what it is, but if you even for one moment hesitate, you're blocked off. And the only way you're going to catch yourself doing it, part 3, write it in there until you stop doing that, until you stop cheating yourself, cutting your life off, all right? You're not here to cut your life off. You are here to see it through and live it fully, okay?
Okay, we have one more comment today on today's insight from Joy. I feel that when I receive guidance, I can generally trust it. When things are emotionally charged, however, I sometimes wonder if I'm receiving guidance from the guides or myself.
That's a good pause. That's a good question she has there, because as soon as the emotional part starts, then you need to be cautious about discerning between what's guidance and what's you. And she's right to do that.
Yeah, you're overthinking it. Your emotions come from up here.
Right. It's in the forefront. Your emotions are now clouding the guidance. Right. Even if it is sitting there trying to bounce against the wall, your emotions are over there. They won't let the guidance through.
The guidance comes from your knowing, from your gut, from your heart, from your soul.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't come from thinking.
Right, exactly. Your thinking is now dominating the situation.
That's where the emotions get in the way.
Blocking the guidance. Go ahead.
Okay. I find it difficult to discern at those times. In a current situation, I have gone out to learn information. I am to make a decision regarding this information. The fear of making a mistake and making things worse prevents me from moving forward and knowing that this knowledge is going to work. She went out and learned something, but she can't trust the knowledge yet. She has to make a decision on it. That's where the hesitation comes in.
Yeah.
How do you separate your emotions from the knowing process?
So read my reply.
Linda Deir responded, emotionally charged situations make it near impossible to receive clarity. It's when you know you don't know. The only way to overcome this is to write it down in your journal daily. Only then will you be able to see it from a detachment or from a distance, instead of allowing it to boil up inside of you. Until the need to know, the panic, is under control, can any clear guidance reach you? Under this stress, you are the last person who can access the answers and the guidance that you need. In this case, trusting what you know is realizing you are too close to the situation to see it clearly. So write it down and release the need to know. That's how the solution shows up.
That's right. So what that's saying, I'll translate that. What that's saying, as soon as you write it down, what that is, that she's thinking about doing, but she's not sure, she doesn't trust what she knows. She feels like she's clouding it with emotions, and she is. Writing it in here, and then looking back at it in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year. It could be a year. It could be a big, big issue in your life. You write it down. It's not in here anymore. It's not boiling up in here anymore. It's on the page. And now you can examine this objectively out there, and you've got power over this. You will see what it is. You would never see what it is if you didn't write it down. And look back at it, review it later. You won't see it the moment you write it down. No, because it's emotional, it's dramatic, it's, you can't let the guidance, you can't see it. But once you write it down, you walk away from it, and you look back at it later, you will see it. You can't help but see it.
You got to get out of the emotional state of the moment, the chaos of the moment.
That's right, right. That's right. So do we have any other
questions?
We
have a comment here. Rebecca says she learned a lot. She learned not to tell her family and her husband about things that she saw, heard, or felt that others don't notice. That's good.
That is great.
Because it freaks them out. I've hid it a long time, but I'm starting to just be more open about these things because this is me. It's a gift, not a secret. It's time for an awakening for me. That's good observation.
And Rebecca, I've known you now, for about a year or more, and I've watched you move through this and really pay attention. I'm overwhelmed. You have done so well, and you are coming out, and you're gradually moving through it, writing these things down. This is between you and yourself. This is your best friend, your guides. This is where they reside. When you write and you tell what that is, and you are candid and transparent about your life, okay? If I could do it for the whole world to see, you could do this, okay? And you keep doing this, you're going to keep seeing. It's like the onion. You're going to keep peeling off the layers until you get down to the real you, okay? And when you finally get there, you're going to be so different than you are than the girl I've met that I'd met in the beginning, and the girl that I'm talking to right now. You are moving through this. You're doing the work. You're paying attention. And don't put your family members through the stress of what you're realizing. Isn't that ridiculous? The stress of what you're realizing? But it's, to them, it's stressful. They might lose you. You might change, and they won't even recognize you. I mean, I've been through it all. I've had mates where they said it all. They even told me, my second marriage, take your spiritual books and hide them, Linda. He couldn't, he was embarrassed. He was ashamed of me.
You didn't want anybody to come over and see that you believed in that stuff.
He was ashamed of me. Imagine that. The guy was a jerk. So I look back at it and I just think, I let him think what he wanted to think. I never challenged him. I did take my books and put them away so that he didn't have to look at them and get more angry with me. And because I wasn't going to change. He said, if you keep doing this, taking these dream classes and stuff, it's going to ruin our marriage. I said, really? Ruin our marriage? My dream classes are going to ruin our marriage? Okay. So I let him think it. I kept going to my dream classes. And,
look where he is now.
Yeah, it all works itself out. It really does. So yeah, you're on a continuum, you guys. You came from somewhere, you're here right now, and you continue on like a big recycling system, okay, going back to where you came from, all right? They're the same place. In between, we're having this experience that we signed up for, that we were actually excited about coming here to learn, all right? Or none of us would have even survived the 9 months it took to get here. In fact, the ones that don't survive it, just they have a change of heart. It's like, oh, can't do that, you know. And so that pregnancy never plays out, you know.
One thing about this wonderful journal/workbook is what it says right in the front. Linda keeps saying, you know, this is your journey. Right in the front, it says, my guided journey, my legacy too. Who are you writing this for? You writing it?
Yeah.
For all the people who may not have ever understood who you were while you were here.
And something that you gift to them on how you found yourself, how you gave yourself the permission to get back to who you are, to the love, to the truth, to the reason you came here, so that they can look at it and go, oh my God, I could do that. I need to do that. She did it. Mikey did it.
Yeah. And your family was even insulted because you did it too well.
Well, you can't.
You didn't live up to their expectations of not being anything.
I know. And there's a lot of us that have that challenge, you know, and you just can't let that happen. I turned out to be an example to the family. I actually turned out to be the person who proved their theories wrong without even trying to do it. It was the byproduct of living my life, of following my guidance, of being connected.
Okay.
All right. So do we have any more
questions? No more
questions?
questions or comments.
You guys,
This was a good discussion tonight.
That was very good. And what a lot of people do is they watch it in replay because they're busy working and stuff like that. So
Or they're sleeping.
Or they're sleeping, right? That is true. Okay, so let's talk about, we're going to let the guides close this session tonight.
We're going to talk about next week?
Yeah, with their closing message. But before that, I want to talk about tomorrow.
Ooh.
Okay.
Big things happening tomorrow.
So tomorrow, Wednesday, May 8th at 6 p.m. Pacific time, right here on my Facebook page, Linda Deir Author, my spirit guides and I will explain how fear broke your connection to them. Each week we will take you deeper into this guided journey, connecting you to your spirit family, those who are always sending you guidance. So don't miss it. Okay, so before the spirit guides bring their closing message tonight about the insight, I want to tell you about next Tuesday, May 14th. Join me right here on Facebook Live, Linda Deir Author. This will be a Q&A and commentary, just like tonight, with me and the spirit guides at 6 p.m. Pacific. So don't miss that. In Linda's weekly guided insights, my spirit guides will be talking about how the before life impacts this one. There is much anxiety in the world over the afterlife. People go through their entire lives wondering if they were a good person in this life. They ask themselves, am I going to a happy place after I die like heaven, or am I going somewhere else?
The other place.
This type of thinking is based on the beliefs you acquired as a child. To us, your spirit guides, all this worrying is a waste of time. Why? It's because you planned your life long before you came here. Yes. What that means is you were somewhere else before you got here. The before life. You planned your life with the help of your spirit family, the family that followed you here to watch over your progress and guide you. All right, so let me take a look at that. So remembering the before life changes the way you look at what you should be doing in this life, rather than focusing on the afterlife, trying to get out of here. Okay? I mean, think about how ridiculous that is.
You spend all your lifetime, you waste your life worrying about where am I going to go when I leave here, but they never give a thought to where did I come from,
or why I'm here,
or why you're here. What should you be doing while you're worrying?
That's exactly the point. So rather than missing your life, it's about realizing that, and I'm going to get into this, to awaken from the amnesia is realizing that this life is not all there is. As soon as you realize that this life is not all there is, you quit trying to get out of here. You quit trying to go to the next, where we go to after this life is done. It really is based in fear. It's like people don't have trust in the fact that there is something after this. Or if there's something after this, maybe I did something wrong in this life that I'm going to be punished for.
Right.
That's a ridiculous thought.
I'm going to burn forever, for all eternity, for something I did, for something I believed during this life.
Or something you learned, something you experienced, something that somebody else, let's see, it could be something as small as somebody said, well, they're not happy with you, and they think that you cheated them in some way, you let them down or something like that, and that you're going to be punished for that type of thing. That's totally ridiculous, I want you to know. We're all in this life as a group soul, learning all our, many lessons, let's say, in this lifetime. And we go, and hopefully we learn those lessons and we don't cause more karma by living this life. But some people will make you feel like that. And, this thing about what's going to happen, this dread around what's going to happen when I leave here. Am I going to be punished?
I got to take that stairway to heaven?
That's karmic, chastising, I guess I'd say. That's ridiculous. It's got nothing to do with that. We're here to learn, to experiment with new things. We're here, and we're not here to be afraid. We're here to live our lives, So
you're here to work out your own stuff. Your soul's urge to evolve.
It's supposed to be fun, you guys.
And everybody's here for different reasons.
Yeah, that's right, Ray. That's right. So once you realize that this life is not all there is, your perspective on birth and death will totally change. So that's going to be the essence of next week on how the before life impacts this one, instead of trying to figure out how to get out of here.
And hopefully you're going the right way.
Yeah, and that you're not going to be punished when you leave. That's ridiculous, all right?
But if you came in as a sinner and you're a sinner all your life and you're afraid that you're going to go the opposite way,
What happens in a situation like that, the energy prevents you from really living your life, first of all, because you're always cautious and you're always, you doubt yourself all the time. That's a program to make you doubt yourself. You miss your life.
To live in fear.
Yeah, living in fear. So it's just write it in the journal. Write down what hurts you, what's stopping you out, what's preventing you from moving forward, what's hurting you most of all. And so you can see it out there, and you can start to examine it intelligently and let your guides help you move through that, because you know what? They're with you. As soon as you write it down, they see that you're paying attention. They're going to be right there, really focused on sending you guidance that you can't possibly miss, because now you're open to it, all right? Now you're connected. That's what we are looking for. That's what you need to be focused on. But you've got to get rid of this stuff and stop worrying about what people think and all this overthinking.
That's where most of the world's problems lie.
Yeah.
Too much thinking.
Too much overthinking. And one thing I hear a lot is I hear, I got a strategy. People have too many strategies and not enough time just to let life flow, And having a strategy is chasing something, letting it come to you. Let it flow. Let it come to you. Like Viola. Viola quit chasing that relationship, okay? She kept having she stopped having the strategy to get the right guy. And when she did that, and she let go of what people thought about her, she stopped taking it personally. Boom. The right guy showed up.
People see that all the time when they want to adopt a purebred dog. They have this list of, I'm going to get a purebred dog, and it's going to look like this, it's going to be this color, it's going to be this big, and it's going to have papers and all that stuff. Perfection. And this adorable mutt shows up at the door.
Needing you.
Yeah. Was sent in at exactly the right time in your life.
That's a good point.
That's what you needed.
Yeah. We have to let this stuff go, you guys. So, Ray, let's close this session. Love the session today about trusting what you know. All right, and here they go.
How do you know what to trust? How do you know what you know if you haven't put it to test? It's the experience behind the knowingness that makes you just know it. Did you do it in a previous life? Does it just feel natural for you to paint or play music or speak in front of people? Whatever you feel most comfortable with is what you know and can trust. What you are taught once you get here may not have any meaning ever. You may study something for years and be able to repeat theories about it, but never put any of it to the test. You brought all your talents with you when you came here, and you need to realize them in this life while you are here. Nobody ever brought a college degree with them when they came here. Yet many geniuses started out crawling around on all fours. They lived life through curiosity and experimentation until they self-realized. This curiosity tended to exist throughout their lives, and they followed it and never felt that they missed something or that what they were doing wasn't helping the world. It's very obvious in people who took music lessons as a child and hated it versus the person who sits down at the drums and just feels it. You know when somebody is in the zone of what they feel and know versus someone who's just singing along with the words.
Yeah, where they're not connected. It's all about the connection, you guys. The more that you honor yourself, the more that you discover who you are, who has been hiding out, who it was that lost that connection, that you're beginning to go back and put yourself back together again. You're beginning to put the pieces back together again. I want to say that part 2, tomorrow, part 2, right here on Facebook, same time, same place tomorrow. This is what we're going to be talking about, is part 2. That's where you put yourself back together again. You remember who you are. You trust who that is. You stop doubting yourself and stop letting what other people think about you control you. Okay? That's what we're going to be doing tomorrow. Don't miss it. All right?
I wish I would have learned that one sooner.
Oh,
Not
boy.
worrying about what people think.
Well, you know, I learned it as a child. I learned it in my early life because my life depended on it, literally. And nothing else made any sense except for how the guides were guiding me and the fact that I didn't hesitate and I always went that way and kept my mouth shut about what I was doing, learning, and how I was learning it and who I was. I would never let them know that. They would have annihilated me, you know? So while you're going through this really tender, intimate time, bringing yourself back again, keep it to yourself, okay? Because you're not strong yet. You're like the little duckling that was just born out in the water, you know, vulnerable, but doing really good. But you need to take care of that early, young part of yourself that's just beginning to come back ever so gently, come back into your life. That's you, all right?
I mean, when you tell people, keep your guidance to yourself. Don't tell anybody what you're doing, how you feel about this or that. Don't agree, disagree. I mean, some people who don't know who you are know that you met your guides before you were 2 years old. Physically, you met your guides,
Yeah.
and they guided you. They became your best friends, just like the book says, best friends and life coaches. And you never told anybody about them until you were 62 years old and wrote the book.
Until I published Guided.
60 years. You told nobody.
You know
about
what,
them.
you guys? It's so good that I couldn't dare trust anybody with it. I couldn't have anybody interrupt my flow. I wasn't finished getting the people who worked against me completely out of my life.
Oh, you did tell one person.
I did tell you.
You did tell me. I was the first one you ever told.
You were brought in a different way.
That's it.
Like Viola, I didn't go out and pick Ray. The guides brought him to me, all right, because I surrendered. You guys know the story. You read Guided. You know what it is. So just stay out of your own way. Write down do all the things I talked about tonight. Listen to this video again. Make your notes and start using your journal. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll see you next week, too.
I'll see you in a few minutes. I'm going to make dinner.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.